Andre, you're the first one to ask for this question. The RFID, or radio frequency ID chip, is a tiny chip that is embedded in products, pets, or people that can be scanned from yards away. It is helpful in tracking inventory or shipped items, can be used at checkout stands, and helps police officers find your information quickly without having to ask you to pull out your license. Do you have any concerns that this technology violates privacy? Is this a slippery slope, and how so?
I think that this definitely violates privacy, and it's not just a few yards away. It can be scanned from space. We have satellite technology and imagery that can actually scan an RFID from a satellite in space. Now, the issue here, and I'll be very quick, the issue is when we are talking about this sort of information being held by the government, that allows them a tracking system for each and every individual. And this is something they're trying to do on a mass scale under the globalization acts that they have in place. And this is something that's already been implemented in different countries, and they're trying to push it a little further so that this one world government can actually track every individual. This is definitely an infringement on our human rights, on our civil rights, and it's going to be something that once it gets started and moving, it's going to be something that we cannot backtrack on.
Okay, Harry, do you want to address this RFID?
Okay, it's an interesting issue. In the first instance, we don't have a one world government. We have a whole bunch of individual governments who I'm sure would like to learn as much as they can about the people in their country. I have not studied this issue, so I'm trying to look for what is the problem here. If it's to track goods in a company, why is that an issue? Are you putting these RFID?
It's to track people.
RFID chips, so they put them in people?
Well, hold on.
That's correct.
People.
How do they do that?
Hold on. So far, it's not really been used in people. It's been put in products and tags to track inventory.
Government personnel.
But okay, so Andre, you're telling me something I didn't know. Has it been implanted in government personnel?
It has, yes. It's been implanted in government individuals. It's also been planted in some people that have been arrested, prisoners of war. It's been implanted in various individuals. Yes, it has.
Okay. So, Harry, go ahead.
I think it's kind of a non-issue for me. I got to tell you, Judy, I don't know. It sounds a big stretch that something like this is going to be embedded in people. I've never heard of that, much less that a government. Now, if you're in the Army, maybe they want to do that. It sounds really bizarre, a bit on the science fiction element. There's a lot of big brother issues with computers and in cyberspace, but I don't know that this particular one, I certainly have nothing to offer on that without certainly studying it more. I've never heard of it applying to people. Yeah, I certainly don't see any problem with it being used to track inventory.
Okay, and JL, you have a minute?
Good. Now, here's an issue where I got myself into trouble with the Constitution Party and their hopeful nominee, which is Virgil Good. Yeah, it's a weird way to pronounce good, but in 2005, this man sponsored a bill, H.R. 415, to actually make it a federal law that all driver's licenses had to be implanted with these chips, with these cards. And oddly, he was pushing for a defense contractor called MZM Inc., which is a subdivision of Halliburton, to make it to his community in Martinsville, Virginia. This is like corruption at the top level here. This man is making millions from these deals that he's making. It's one of those big corruption things that I'm against. And this MZM Inc. is making hundreds of millions of dollars in taxpayer funds to build these chips and to supply these chips, among other things that they're doing in foreign countries.
Okay, Andre, do you want to speak to that? You have 30 seconds.
I would say, sure. I say we really need to, the other individuals, I think we need to study up a little more on this. This is something that is definitely important to the citizens of this country because they are utilizing this to track people. They are utilizing these and advancing the technology to do so. And yes, they are talking about placing these in children and in different people to track their medical records, to track consumption, to track their whereabouts. This is something that is not science fiction, but it's on the cusp of actually being enacted now.
Okay, Harry, do you want to put in 30 seconds, or do you want to? Okay.
I think there's far more serious issues that the food isn't fit to eat, the water isn't fit to drink, and the air isn't fit to breathe. We know that to be a reality, and that's causing trillions of dollars of healthcare costs that are bankrupting our country. Those are the kinds of issues I'm running for president on, not micromanaging what latest computer technology private companies are going to use to track their inventory. And if the government is tracking people, anyone that knows me in my campaign knows, my first effort at running for president is to put the majority of citizens in charge of the federal government with an amendment to the Constitution we call the Democracy Amendment, where a majority of citizens would be in charge of these kinds of policy decisions, and they would all be done completely in the open without any secrecy, because that would be illegal to operate in secrecy in a democracy.
Okay.
That's the only way I know how to regulate this rapidly evolving cyber world.
JL, you have 30 seconds.
Oh, I just have to say that this is a real threat, and let's say even if we were to go with the full democracy, and somehow, let's say these defense contractors, such as MZM, Halliburton, were to have already implanted us. Let's say Harry doesn't make it to the presidency till 2016. By the time the chips run their course, we're either, tagged, implanted, we have it in our driver's license, wherever it might be, it's already there. So that should be an issue, Harry, because it is here.
Okay.
I don't see it.